Welcome in, everybody, to episode 78 of Coffee and Chel, the first episode of NHL 24 post-launch that isn't with a actual NHL hockey player. We had Robert Thomas on last episode. If you haven't watched that, please go watch it. But today's episode is all about what the podcast back to our roots. All right, we are going to be talking about Hockey Ultimate Team and our thoughts so far. We're about a week in, so let's start with the beginning. How's your team? What did you go after early on, and how are you looking there?
I could probably just flip on my team for you real quick if you want.
Can you do that?
Sir.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey, okay. All right. That
Hi.
goes. There it goes.
We got Zachary Eichel. I traded in all 3 sex factors for him.
Dude just said Zachary Eichel.
Yeah, and I was very pumped to get him. Custom skating stride. Sleeves will release a video down the road about that. By the way, there's about 5 guys that matter in this game. I got Rod the Bod, and I'm just rolling with this as of right now.
I've only played good face-off guys.
I know. I've only played a few games online, and then my defense I stacked it up. I didn't upgrade him all the way because I didn't realize how much he cost. This Dumba is actually kind of gross, and this Nick Schultz is good too. I am gonna make him. I just really honestly been lazy because I've been doing like Hut Rush and stuff. But yeah, that's the team. The best player by far is Eichel. He will be on my team the entire rest of the year.
Eichel is a good fellow. He got his 86. Did you see that one? He got an upgrade on his X Factor then, no?
Yes, I just haven't got his base yet because they cost so much.
What's his base going for?
It's like 40K.
It's because it's one of the more famous. It's one of the more famous, or one of the more bigger.
I was gonna ask you that. Oh, we'll get to that in a minute. Just keep going. Sorry, I gotta ask you some.
What did you grind the whole time for the first?
So I really only played. I did the moments, which took like a day and a half because like they're kind of like
they're not
monotonous.
For you, but how bad were they? Worse than offline challenges?
I don't know. I tried to sit in a Discord with people like while I did it, so then it was like at least like just background almost. You know what I mean? I was like going through the motions, and it actually went quicker than I thought. It wasn't god awful, but now these new moments that we got, it's like I don't even want to touch them, even though I probably should. And then I started doing Hut Rush because I watched you say that like Hut Rush has the greatest rewards, and you're not wrong. It has some pretty good rewards. So
yeah, it's an interesting take there on the Hut Rush. I want to touch on that for a second. So like we've been the community and pretty much the entire player base is we're nothing has changed within the modes. So we're all of the modes feel the exact same because they are. And the complaint is like, give us more rewards because it's not rewarding for our time. The issue with that, I talked about this a little bit in the summertime, is that just throwing more rewards at a game mode that we can't stand really doesn't do anything. It just, it's like getting $1 raise at a job you hate. Eventually, in a month, we'll be angry that the rewards are bad. So Hut Rush, I'm happy that they put some rewards into it so that it actually feels like okay, it's worth going into because now you actually have to go into it. But the problem is that, like, the lacrosse deeks don't track. You can't the scoring like multipliers don't work. So after the objectives are done, you got 2 million where you just got to sit there and just smash your head against the desk because the game doesn't work, right? So that's pretty frustrating. But I just finished it today. I got the power up collectibles. Because that was the only way free-to-play players could make a Master Set player for free, was doing essentially doing that Hut Rush. Yeah, doing Hut Rush, which is.
What do you think about with the Hut Rush? Because you're talking about the extra grind after the objectives. Would you agree with me that they should make the online worth more than the 3.75 multiplier? I just feel like to entice people to actually play online, if they increase that, it would make the mode more active alone.
I think that in the end, in the current state, yes. I think that, just make it online if that's the case. Because what we're doing now is literally just spamming hip check against the CPU or another person, right? Like, that's all we're doing.
Turn this brightness down.
Oh, good. So, yeah, like, I think that I'd love to see that get adjusted. I'm not really sure. I think that
it's too bright in here.
Yeah. I think that Hut Rush, to get fixed, Hut Rush needs to be completely changed to just gimmicky, stupid fun modes. I came up with something that I think might have legs. Now, I was thinking about quick modes you could put in Hut. What if you did like a seek and destroy like round type mode where it's like best of 5, you load up against somebody, one person's on the power play, one person's on the penalty kill, and you just switch. If you don't score on the power play, then the person who's penalty killing gets a point, and it's like best of 5. Like I think that might be kind of fun. Like I think that might be. It's a different way to have quick fun.
I think if you make the gimmicky things that we do in Rivals and put that in Hut Rush, like the burst stuff, like I just like all that stuff's just yeah, I don't know. I don't like it in Rivals.
Like I think there
like
should be.
really,
I think there should be. Hut Rush in the end is meant to be done fast. That's what it's called, Hut Rush. There should be
right.
shootout mode, for example, like a shootout rotation of in Hut Rush, and like those are just the simple things that I don't understand why they don't want to put anything effort into that, because I think Hut Rush could still be a really good mode. But anyways, they just threw rewards on top of Hut Rush, which is confusing because they made it seem at launch that Hut Rush was a forgotten thing. It got a small tile, the rewards were awful, and it was very odd. And then we got the first event. I mean, actually, let's touch on gameplay because live content's gonna be a 45-minute discussion.
Well, real quick though, too, the High Rush rewards, those weird balloon-looking collectibles.
Yep.
How about the fact that going into sets just to find things? And I like watched your stream yesterday. You were like joking, like how you just couldn't even find things. For like the casual person that like gets off work, like you were saying, it's like, well, where do I go to find this?
That's
Where do I go to? And that's why like I really haven't bugged you with questions this year because I've been trying to sit there and figure it out myself. Going through the sets, it really is like so strange how much crap you have to go through now to like figure out where things are at or put collectible. I don't know what they're doing with that whole thing.
Live content will that one's a long one. Let's touch on gameplay first because I actually have somewhat enjoyed gameplay. I think that there's tweaking that needs to be done.
Lots of glitch goals.
Yeah, but none that are rampant. So what I mean by rampant is like among the top 50 players, yeah, but it's not stuff that's easy. So it's not stuff that you're gonna see in Division 4, for example. Like the quick wrap was able to be done by literally any Andy there was, which is that can't happen because that means that impacts everybody when the casual players could do it too. But like the toe drag one where the forehand on the backhand shot, like that's hard to do, and takes a little bit. I am kind of excited because yes, there are a bunch of broken shots. I'm excited because they got to fix it. In my meeting with Mike, or my interview, is it interview? Would it be an interview? Yeah, it was an interview with Mike where we covered all of the patches from the community playtest. He said I asked him at the end, will there be live updates to gameplay unlike NHL 23 where we were just left with whatever we got at launch? And he said that if there's something that is game breaking that is not intended as like a hockey thing, then yes, we'll address that. Did that glitch, that shot that where you shoot on the forehand but it comes off as a backhand shot, that's broken. That should
be patched. That's the one that I agree with. That should be for sure patched. The other ones, like you said, they take a little bit more skill. Whether it's like coming off the goal line, going. Some of the ones I don't like though too, Sleazy, like the running into the side of the goallie thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if you watch.
No goalie interference.
So like 3 guys I know for a fact put out like videos: Deli, Julie, and Perelzi. So you guys can go check out.
There's a lot on TikTok.
Yeah,
the boys on TikTok are eating.
Yeah, Geimer did the same one as Deli pretty much, like that weird wrist shot. And then the other two, like there was a bunch of different ones. Like one of them, the goalies, you just run into the side of the goalie and it goes in the net. And it's like, that shouldn't be in the game. But like, I agree with you. Something like the wrist shots, like the pure wristers, they're not game breaking. You know what I mean? So I do agree with that.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what they do, because they did not want to address things that the community hated about gameplay last year. They put the focus on 24. But now this is like their baby. There was a lot of changes, the full pressure system, all of that. Have you hated the full pressure system so far?
It still doesn't seem like it works right. And when I say that, it's like I thought when you came out of the zone, it was supposed to be gone as a defensive team. But it doesn't always do that.
It's not supposed to be gone, but if you watch your play, the problem is you never watch your player. You're always watching the opponents, right? So if you watch your opponent when they skated out, you will see their energy bar come back up, right? So like that's what's happening.
That's what I gotta watch.
Okay. Yeah, it's not instant. It's not like they get out and then bam, it's a hundo. But yeah, like it'll actually ramp back up. I haven't really had it like a lot. I haven't had any mission scored against me, not a single one. It's very easy to defend. The AI defensemen come down to the posts. Like, to get it
Yeah.
scored, it means that you're taking one of those defense. For anyone that is complaining about getting the Michigan scored on them, it is because you are taking that defenseman and you are running around with him. That's it. Because if you don't touch your defenseman, if you player lock as a goalie and you see where the AI goes on their own, the defenseman will go and they'll stand on the bar. So,
No, I will say the one thing, maybe I'm just like blind as a bat, I don't know, but have you noticed it's a little hard to see when a guy goes manual goalie? Maybe I'm just looking at the, because I'm used to looking up at the diamond.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. It's just like being like, when you're going on a breakaway, you're always like, okay, is he gonna take control or not?
Yeah.
And then I end up like, I can't tell if it's the computer or him. I know it sounds dumb, but I've had trouble a few times telling.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that is something. But for the most part, I've kind of. How many games have you played online?
I've played 5, and then I did the Hut Rush, and then I did like those 32 challenges or whatever, and that's it. Like I said, I really haven't played a ton. I'm trying,
dude.
not
That
to
the
burn
moments
myself
was
out.
is probably an
Yeah.
8-hour grind. So that's not
Ooh,
nothing.
Diet Coke, eh, big boy? Huh?
I love Diet Coke, bro.
I didn't know you liked Diet Coke. That's
My
interesting.
entire life, not because it's like a diet thing. I just
Yeah, you like the taste, huh?
I hate sugar. Like, I hate the taste of sugar.
Okay.
I'd
Yeah.
be even bigger if I enjoyed sugar. So, it
Yeah.
is what it is, right?
Am I loud?
I
so
can
you
turn
said
it down.
no.
1 second. I'll turn it
Okay.
down just a little bit. I always.
Um,
That's him.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to like slow play a little bit so I don't burn myself out. A lot of people, I know it's your job, so you have to play, but a lot of people I've noticed, like I've been teasing Deli and a few of the other guys I talk to a lot. I'm like, you guys are just going game 7 at grinding rivals right now. You're gonna be so burnt out by the time like we get to champs. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is that this year more than any. Well, let's get into live content. This year more than any year. Like, I have always been someone that, like, the whole pay to win mantra has really not been all that insane, because people that complain about the pay to win thing in NHL games, for the most part, I'm still a firm believer that the better player will win more often than not, even without having an absolute insane god squad. But it's obviously a little bit easier.
How have you enjoyed the free to play so far?
This is the worst year to do it. That's what I was about to say. So the gap right now at launch, before we receive weekly rewards, because now it gets a little bit different, but at launch it was so brutal. The gap, but to get it, because there was no way for a free to play player unless you spent 5 to 6 hours working the market, and that's not what player. I hate working the market because I'd rather just play the game. But there are some people out there that do it and they can make a lot of coins and whatnot. And like that, it's not nearly as easy for free to play players to make a team, which is frustrating. So then the first event comes out. Let's just detail and go over what's been going on, because so there's a new content team, and they're I can give them some credit for trying new stuff, because we always complain that if everything's always the same, there's never any change. You can't complain when there is change. However, I think that if you're going to make change, it has to be for a purpose and a reason. It can't just be for the sake of making changes. And when the event came out, good Lord, that was a mess. So not only did they come up with the event and it's funny because the biggest change in the events was actually a positive one. Power-up collectibles are now used across the board for all upgradable cards. I think that's a great change. It's very simple, which is funny because given the other stuff that happened, but it's very simple. People understand it. Power-up collectibles, if you want to upgrade a card that has more than one tier, you have to use power-up collectibles. Easy. That's great. That's a great change. Get rid of event collectibles. However, they didn't do that. They kept event collectibles. So the only purpose the event collectibles serve is to make the lowest tier of that card, which is lame. But then they also introduced 5 new types of collectibles. One for live moments, Hut Rush, squad battles, rivals, and champs. And
have you figured out what the best thing to do with those things is?
No, because it is gonna take an hour of sitting down and doing the math, because each pack has different things, and the biggest problem with the absolute biggest and most impactful negatively to the game is simply the fact they removed 83 and 84 overall trade-in sets for power-up collectibles. So as it stands right now, 82 overall and above cards can go into a set. It'd be for 3, and you can make a power-up... Or no, there's 15, and you make a power-up collectible fine. But the fact that there isn't an 83, an 84, and 85 overall means that those 3 levels of cards have no value outside of them being used on your team. So in about 3 weeks, when there's very few base cards on anyone's team or in the top 6 that are impactful, those cards have no value. It's right back to NHL 21 when there was trade in 50 gold cards, 80 and above for a gold collectible. And what happened in those years was when you pulled an 86, it was worth the exact same as an 80 overall, which is brutal. It's one of the worst like aspects of the game back then. In the last 2 years, they've really done a good job addressing that and making it so that each overall of every card, even if you pulled one that you can't make your team and you don't like, at least it holds its value. And now they don't do that. 85s are going for 10,000 coins, which is like a fraction. Like it's nuts to me. I saw 86s going for 20K that aren't McDavid and McCarr. And
I've been holding on to my 85s because I feel like right now there's no point to like even sell them because eventually, I don't know when, but there'll be a set where you need the 85s. Am I right?
Yeah,
Maybe?
like here's the thing. With the new live team, there's all bets are off now. I don't want to give any recommendations on what to do with people's coins and cards, and I get asked this all the time now, simply because I have no idea.
I do like your recommendation that I saw in your stream about keeping, was it the 81, 82s, and 83 packs, like the singular card packs?
Yep.
That's a good idea about the...
Yeah, my man Maze Jolt reminded me of that, but last year, dude, I'm terrified for the fantasy event. That's my favorite event. It's one of the community's favorite events, and if they just mess around with it like they did so far, it's going to be viewed so poorly that people will just leave the game. And that's rough. Like I really hope that they just keep it the same. I don't know, but for anyone that doesn't know, when you do Hut Rush and other of those, you get these small objectives and things like that. You'll get these random packs where it's like 81 overall choice pack or an 80 to 82 pack. Keep those until the fantasy event, because the fantasy event's master set players, they are not 86 and above. They're lower overalls, because they have to score goals to go up in overalls throughout the season. So they start them really low. So last year, if you had those packs, the player pool for those cards is not very big, right? So I think I have like 9 of them right now. So make sure you're keeping those as we head up to the event. But God knows what they'll end up doing with it. So, they might make them all 60 overalls. I don't know. But yeah, so on top of that, making all of those new collectibles from different events, I like the adding in customizable rewards. So rivals and squad battles now give us collectibles, silver collectibles. Dude, this reeks of them not taking the time to get the art and the assets made to have them ready for this. And what I mean by that is, again, I don't have any insight on this, and when it comes to EA, zero. Haven't talked to anyone on the live team, haven't talked to any of the other developers about it, but just from what I can see, when you go, they're called Rivals Collectibles, okay? In the menus, okay? When you go to mode sets, it'll say Rivals Collectibles. When you click on it, the collectible required is a gold collectible. Now, they have gold collectible card art. They don't have Rivals collectible card art and assets. So now you're making a collectible, calling it something else, but you're referring to it as something totally different, and you're asking people that don't play the game regularly to understand what the hell that they're talking about. And then on top of that, what they did with Rivals was nuts. So Rivals rewards were normal the week 1, and then the week 2, like the week that just happened on Wednesday, we saw what the Rivals rewards are now going forward. And to put the new collectibles in, because you can make packs and players, again, of your choosing based on where you finish in Rivals and the division you're in, but they took away packs to try and make the value somewhat even, but it was nowhere close. If you're not going to improve the mode, gameplay is improved. I think gameplay is far better than 23, even with its issues and the glitch goals that are in the game. It might get worse, but I don't think it can ever be as bad as 23. But that being said, Rivals as a mode has not improved. It is still the exact same as it was 4 years ago. You can't take away the value of what we've been used to and not improve the mode. Like, obviously the connotation to that is going to be awful. Like the reception is going to be awful of that, and that's what they did. And then the same thing happened with squad battles. It's not as bad in terms of value missing, but for example, if you finish in Elite One, which is what most everyday players that aren't the sweats will aim for, like myself, you aim for Elite One.
Is that in squad baddies?
Yeah, and squad baddies.
I got
And
City Pro
Elite
too,
One,
baby.
you lose 2 elite packs, but with the you were in collectibles instead, silver collectibles. But with those silver collectibles, you can make a mega pack, which by EA's value in the store is about 15,000 coins less, just by their own coin value. So like it just doesn't make any sense. Like I think that they should have just added in rewards, the collectibles on top of what we had, because you can't take away stuff that you've been giving out already. It's never going to go right, and it's a brutal look, and it just doesn't seem. It just seems like a lot of ideas and good concepts. I think underneath it all, that just were not fully flushed out before they released them. The other, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see Kucherov and Yager?
Yes, and I said on your stream like Yager was an 83, but then you like showed his stats and he's actually like usable with his size, I think.
Yeah, he's sick. And not to mention, a lot of people have been using his base icon card at like 80 or whatever. Really good.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a Heatley that's like really good too?
Heatley
like
and Heatley, Gartner, and Medano. For anyone that
Are they
doesn't
really
know.
expensive?
They're going for quite a bit, but like those are the ones. If you pack them, do not sell them for like low price. Like those.
I sold the coach for like 15,000. I had no clue they were going for that much. I thought it was a
Coaches
good
are
joke.
coaches are the new arenas where you just don't pull
I
them ever.
know. It's crazy. So wait, besides like the headliners event, was we kind of I think we went over that pretty much. Like
Oh no, the new master sets. Like, did you?
oh that's yeah the MSPs.
Yeah,
Did you make any besides Orpic? I made Orpic, and then hear me out. Maybe I'm wrong. I looked at Orpic and I was like, being free to play. I just because you got like the collectible no matter what, like you said, right? There's nothing else you can do with them. I just made it, and I started looking. I'm like 10K, one power up, and then 2 power ups. Meaning I wouldn't get back the 10K. I would lose a power up when I do refund it, or I can just make Orlov, who has silver truculence, and is a little bit slower and don't even have to upgrade Orwall at all and keep him at an 81. That's what I was thinking about doing.
Well, so I think that you need to get to level 5 before you get his ability. But I think
that's why I did. That's why I want to do it because I was like, oh, the Orwall.
you don't. Yeah. So okay.
Okay.
So the one good thing about the power up collectible system, because it costs more, right? In their economy value system, if you look, when you refund a one collectible tier, you get the collectible back.
No, not that one. I need that one.
You're
I
talking the last one.
The last one, you would lose one for Orpic, and I'm not going to use
Yes.
Orpic past like Christmas time, anyways.
Yeah, so I think in terms of value, it is probably just better to use Orlov, but Orpic is the better card. However,
Right.
if you get the 3 power-up collectibles from doing squad battles and the 1 objective pathing, you can, it'll cost you 1 and you can make Orpic. So you're essentially renting, like, you're losing 30K in value. But you might have that card on your team for quite some time. A 6'3" defenseman with gold truculence, like,
Your hot take.
what's that?
I don't know if truculence is as good. Not to say it's bad. That hip check, if you use total control,
You know what?
is the most broken thing I've seen in a long time. I'm more worried about that, to be honest with you, than like even some of the glitch goals. Like the hip checks are obnoxious.
What are you using? We haven't touched on this. There's so much to talk about. Fuck. Are you using total control or hybrid? Or
Total control. Yeah,
okay,
I'm using it.
you agree with me that total control is far better?
Yeah, especially when dude, you know what card I'm dying to try? It's freaking Trevor Zegras because I just want to Michigan. I just want to Michigan all night long.
If you go into his moment, it's almost instant. Like like that one card is wild. That would be the one that I think might be hard to defend. But it's funny you bring up the truculence not being as impactful maybe this year. So what I'm doing how are you hitting?
Let's say you're using hip checks. So like if they come
you're
down
only
the wall,
using hip checks. You're never touching.
Dude, because you can you don't even have to like hit them. You can hit them with like your like the end of your skate, but you're doing the hip check animation and they go flying. It's like broken. It's really bad. Like because hip checks realistically they should only be using like when they're going down the boards. You know what I mean? You can hip check an open ice and they're just flying. You know what I mean? It's crazy
they get
how.
ragdolled.
Yeah, it's bad.
So,
I think it's a problem.
The way hitting works, which a lot of people haven't figured out yet, is they go to like what they used to do and they go flick up right when they're about to hit, right when the contact is. But what you want to do is charge the hit and then let go as about a step before where you want to get the hit off. So I'm using B. I'm using circle and B to hit.
Okay.
And once I figured that out on total control, you hold down circle, and I think there's a bit of a speed burst if it locks onto somebody and you can catch up, which is bad. But what you do is you get kind of inside positioning and then let go of B. And then you get that huge shove. And that's how you hit. But a lot of people aren't doing that. They're hitting B as they run into them. You need to do it right beforehand. And it basically charges up the big shove animation, and that's what does it. But the thing is, when you use circle or B, you're doing the big check. You're not doing the shove. And the real benefit of truculence over the last 2 years has been the shove, because when you're close to somebody that's holding onto the puck and not letting go of it, you could just flick up, and the shoulder check would trigger, and it would make them stumble. But because you're not doing that, I think that you might be right. It might be charged. You might be getting way more penalties. I've gotten a ton of penalties on hitting, and
Yeah,
I'm starting to think it might be.
Any from the hip check. It's crazy. And I almost about to say, like, instead of having my defenseman, because it always seems like we use our X factors on our D, kind of. But I'm almost like leaning towards stick him up and shut down after seeing like how good that Jack Johnson
Girardi,
is.
bro.
Yeah, and so you have Girardi. I have Nick Schultz, which is like they're just
that was who I
games.
wrestled with when I did my tier list video of who the best one is.
Mhm.
There's something about Girardi, bro. I don't know. I don't know if it's because he has shutdown and truculence, but
Yep.
he is way faster than 87. He's been probably my most noticeable player. And anytime that I get a hit off near somebody, that dude is crushed. He's munched. And I'm wondering, yeah, you're right. If it's if it's shut down now, I just thought about that when you mentioned it. If you're using circle or B to hit, you're not using the shoves at all. You're using the big hits, and that might draw more penalties because truculence makes it insane.
Yep.
But yeah, like it's going to be interesting to see how that like plays out.
And I always like, not to say that they know anything there, like they know like what the meta is gonna be, but you know, it's kind of like 10 for wheels, right? And then it was. And
I
then
can tell you the inside behind this. I can tell you why that is.
They increased shutdown, but like what I was gonna say is, isn't it kind of weird that I'm pretty positive, maybe I'm wrong? Did skilled up go from 2 to 6?
Someone has him in my chat. Someone in the chat, if you was Zegras, does skilled up go to? No. Okay, so the cost of I can give you the insides on how they determine the cost of abilities.
Did skilled up go up though? I thought it
is 6. It is 6. That makes sense. That makes sense though, because it's one button. That does make sense.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I feel like they knew that this thing was going to be pretty OP.
So
maybe I'm wrong.
That's interesting because that was so different and wasn't a thing the prior year. However, all the other abilities, they're based on percentage of use. So they can see in the player base how many of you guys have an ability activated. So all of the ones that are like 1 or 2, it's because no one uses them. So that is why. It's not because game changers or whatever's be like, this is what it's got to be. You know, it's literally they have a chart that shows how many, which is kind of cool that it's tracked like that. And they can see, you know, how many people are using quick draw, how many people are using truculence. And that's why. So you put Zegras D tier in your first video. That's because Zegras without skilled up, if you don't do the Michigan, he is not a good X factor. Like
you
that's
want to hear my tier list? No,
very niche is Zegras, his X factor.
My tier list is McDavid, and then after McDavid, I think Matthew Tkachuk's like a lock for team of the year. That's me saying this. Not
I do. That's why I took him. I was excited to get him because I was.
I'd be pumped. I'd be pumped to get him. He'd be awesome. And then my third is Eichel because of the custom skating stride, and I just think he's gonna have an awesome year.
And he's big.
And then he is big. And then the fourth one, I wrestle back and forth with this, like Yossi and Makar, just because they both put up absurd amount of points, but because I feel like Yossi's a better long-term defenseman.
They gave him good abilities.
That too. And then Makar, it's just because he's super fast and like everyone loves Makar in real life, and he's like
you can get breakaways. You can get breakaways with Makar very easily in this game if someone's paying a little placid, because there's no one in the game as fast as him other than McDavid, really. Mm-hmm. So you can if you just start from your own zone and get up to full speed and just rip around, then you know it's pretty impactful. But
and then my other one would be Zegras, just because of the sealed up.
Like I said, I think I said this in my tiers video. I have him as like the lowest one, but that's simply if you don't use Michigans, because there's a lot of people that don't go for Michigans.
100%. So let me ask you a question. Since you're doing the same as me, you're free to play, right? You didn't even spend your
I sewered my 4,600 points.
Yeah, that's you are straight up free to play, big time. So what have you done? You saw my team. I got 3 X Factors, one from the whatever moments.
Moments.
Then I got the starter pack. I got Konechny, stinks, and then I did a 50 gold trade in, and then I swept all those in for Eichel, and I'm happy about
That's
that.
what I would start with. That's lucky.
Yeah,
that
so
you-
then after that, I know I got super lucky.
yeah.
After that, I got like the 2 Brindamore and Oates. Are you on the same page as me, or are you grinding already towards team? Because I have the 3 team builder cards because you got the one for the XPs,
Yeah.
and then you got the 2 pre-order ones.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you going for team builders, or are you going for the Lemieux? Like, how are you? What are you allocating
Dude.
your stuff towards? Like, what are you focusing on being free to play? How about
What's
that?
so frustrating is that because the live content team has legitimately gone rogue, I am not doing anything. I'm legitimately just essentially I'm slow. I'm taking all of my gold NHLers, putting them into the the team building sets, and I've
Even
got
tradable, even tradable,
even tradable. Yep, even
I've been
tradable.
selling all my tradable cards, and I have 200,000 sitting
You've
there.
got
So
you've got a bit of, because you're just simply focusing on GWC. Like, it's a different way to build your team because you essentially are trying to just have the best cards at that point in time. I'm trying to my team is more of like if you just were to play the game the whole year, not super hyper competitively. But that being said, like I have no idea what they're gonna do. So all I'm doing is I'm just playing it very safe. I tradable right now. It's funny because someone came in my chat. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Bagel Pizza Party. Has been around my Discord, which is awesome. He's like one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to the market, and he's really big on Reddit. But he's been hanging on my Discord a lot, and someone had mentioned that gold NHL players, every single one of them, whether it be 74, whatever, we're going for 1,300 coins. If they stay at 1,300 coins, then you should be taking tradable rewards and just selling everything. Because that means if you get a mega pack, let's say, that's 30 cards, and let's say you get 20 NHLers, like you're making like 30,000 coins on that pack. Like that's when it becomes kind of insane. When it comes to, I took untradeable for rivals. I got Diamond Division 4 because that was where I landed. I'm in Division 2 now, so I'm not as bad as I thought I was. But I got like 4 packs, and I ended up with a bunch of NHLers and gold players, and I put all of my NHLers into, because I'm long playing. I'm going to play the whole year. Right? I'm going to play the whole year. And I think that team builders are still the best thing to do because no matter what, whenever they come out, you trade in 2 and you will end up with the best card at that time throughout the year. At a certain point when it's like 93 to 96 or the 96 to 99 or whatever it's going to be, that's when it becomes not of a good value at all. But up to that point, I think it's extremely good value. That being said, I'm saving all my gold NHLs. They're all going in the team building sets. I'm really far off of making any team builders because I haven't been buying any. I've got about 150,000 coins because I don't know what to spend it on. I'm scared. What I want to do is buy as many 85 overalls for under 10,000, but I don't know if they're just gonna not put those sets back in, because if they don't put those sets back in, it's you're just wasting all of your coins are gone. And as a free to play player, I don't want to tell my viewers and like my following like this is what you guys should do, because I really have no idea.
I want to buy like base Eichel, but I also don't want to spend 40,000 when in the week he could be 15,000. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. That's like another thing.
I want to buy McDavid's base right now. I can afford it, but it's like 150K on PS. So I'm like,
McDavid always. So the one thing about McDavid, he holds his value like above 100K for the longest time. Like it's a while.
It's like 85ish.
Yeah, McKinnon will sit around 80.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, like say it's all gonna depend. Someone just said base cycles 25. You got to. He's on old gen.
I'm on old gen.
Also, old gen player base. If the market is any indicator, we're done.
I think so.
The market is barren. So like old gen players, like I don't know how much longer they're gonna support it.
So for anybody that probably wonders why I went to old gen, I went to old gen because I just don't have time to do like the squad battles grind. I don't have to. So I figured, okay, like I'll go on there in my, let's say 17 wins on new gen or 18 wins on new gen that I'll consistently get. Those will be like top 30 on this console, and on new gen it'll be, I don't know, top 50 maybe. So then like at Christmas time, I'm just gonna transfer my stuff over and get 2 Christmas cards.
Yeah,
then I'll be fine.
Exactly.
Plan.
GWC is not on old gen, but you can migrate. So you
Yeah,
can
I'm
get all the
migrating.
rewards. You can get all the same rewards, and then just go to the next. A lot of GWC players are doing that.
Like me, Duncan Deli. Duncan Deli has a chance of winning. I have no
Yeah.
chance of winning. I have 2 kids and a wife, and I'm busy. I'm not gonna win. I just want to have the best possible team to at least compete, and I don't spend money. So there you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. So, yeah, that was it. The market is absolutely decimated now. So, yeah, and then so back to the live events, man, like or live content, like the collectible system. The other day on stream, I streamed for like an hour after like when content's usually done. Usually I watch content for like 15 minutes, then I get off, and I was just like, I was sitting there literally trying to go through because I knew I had to make a video about it, and I simply could not understand it. And if I get paid to play this game, essentially, and I can't understand it, there is simply no way that any normal player can understand it. So, I think that let's touch on Kucherov and Yager. I kind of got off track there.
Yager's nasty. You said you built him then?
No. So Yager's nasty. You can't yet. And Kucherov,
Oh,
Kucherov looks gross too. How you get them is the only way you can acquire those cards is with gold collectibles, which are rivals collectibles. So you have to wait until next week's rival rewards before you get your first collectibles, right? I love that idea. I love mode specific cards that you can't buy them on the auction house. You can only get them. The cost is about the same. So Kucherov costs about the same as a Jumbo Elite Pack, and a Jumbo Elite Pack is the one below Ultimate, where it's like 18 plus or 1880 plus cards, which is a very good pack. But getting a guaranteed 86 with a good synergy and a good skating stat, like that's what I'm gonna do as a free to play player. I'm gonna take my packs and then I'm gonna go and try and make Kucherov. I think that's a good idea. So the mode specific thing is great, but we'll see. Again, I just think that the removal of so many rewards from rivals, like it was universally hated, and I don't know how they're just gonna stick to their guns on it. I don't know.
yeah. I'm probably gonna build that Yager, like you said, because there's really.
It only costs
I
3.
feel like,
That's a
yeah,
nice
that's
value.
3, right? And I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like with all the complaining that's going on, and like it's warranted. Um, I have a feeling they'll end up switching it back or something. I just feel like
I
there's
don't know
no
if they
way.
can. Like when they so like
Really?
when you sign off on stuff like this, like because it's like it's a money mode. Like there's a financial implications here as a business. Like let's pretend as a business. You go in, you have a plan. This is how we're gonna run the market and live content, and this is how we're gonna get X packs sold and X value for each card and all of that. And then you're like, okay, everyone hates it. We have to wipe it out. It's like we didn't account for that. And I don't know if that's how it works, but like there's an economy thing to factor in here. So I don't even know if they can.
Okay. I'm on the game right now,
Yep.
and maybe they updated this. Am I wrong? Earlier we said that the headliners you can only use the headliner collectibles you can only use for the headliners, right?
So now you can use a 1-for-1 on the new Stars of the Month.
That's what I just found. I was like,
Yes.
I didn't know about that. So I was gonna ask you about those. What is your thoughts on those Star of the Months?
Again, another great concept because you can, let's say you get now it's going to depend if every card that they ever add is going to be in this set. So the thing about Team of the Week, which is now called Stars of the Month, which I they called it Team of the Week, yet it says Stars of the Month. Like again, it's just things that don't make sense. It makes it more needlessly complicated.
It's just messy.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's legitimately just messy. But one of the drawbacks of Team of the Week and things, let's say theme team players. Okay, I want to get a shark. Like I come in December, and I want to get the Team of the Week Mario Ferraro because he's about to put up 4 points tonight against VGK. Okay, I want to get that card. After about a month, that card's nowhere to be found because you can only pull him for a week. Everyone just puts them in sets because no one wants them, so you'll never get that card. If the sets are there, even if the value is garbage, you can at least make that card. So that's great for theme team players. What I think is going to happen is that these sets are only going to be available during the week that they're out, and then they're gone and they put in whatever the new one is, and then the value is just garbage. So like there's no like to make Eichel's 86, it's about 125,000 coins.
Yeah, that's just not.
Which is a lot. Like that's exceptional. Like I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the same there. So, we'll wait and see.
I'm kind of just following your lead a little bit I'm just slow playing it. I think I can get away with possibly buying McDavid and McKinnon. I have 200,000. I think I might buy them for my Hut Champs next week, and just do really good with Hut Champs, and then, then I'm set for a little bit. You know what I
They,
mean? That's
dude,
kind of yeah.
they haven't even put in Hut Champs collectibles. So we have yet another collectible coming. Like, it's just, like, it is just a mess.
And for the love of God, if you guys are listening, can you please do something with all of our Hut Champs points that just sit in our inbox the rest of the year that we never use?
Oh, that's probably still going to be a thing. It's still going to be a thing, yeah.
We have so many. They just sit there. It's just like, oh my God. Like, I have like 1,000,000 points that just never get used.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Like, so like, the Hut Champs collectibles aren't even in there. So, I think that there is a lot of cool concepts. I think, in short, I think the customizable rewards for squad battles and rivals, I think that's cool, but it can't be less value than what we had originally. I like the individual mode cards, like only being able to get Yager and Kucherov by playing rivals. Love that.
Are you making Cooch?
I'm going to make Kucherov my free-to-play team. Again, I'm
Okay.
someone that doesn't like taking a lot of risks because you're gambling. But the odds of me, my polls have been so bad this year that the odds of me pulling something that isn't just an 80 overall card,
Right.
I would rather just make sure, because that Kucherov card, if it was able to be sold, is probably worth like 80K.
I keep going back to, because he's a smaller player, right?
Mhm.
And he should be. Every player should be usable in this game technically by the end of the year, but
Yep.
that's just not how this game's played, unfortunately. I love Eichel. He's 6'2", and he has the stride. And then, I'll love a guy like Brindamore, who's I think he's like 6'1", which isn't like huge, but it's kind of like right there. But then I don't like love the way like Duchesne feels. I go like back and forth. I'm trying to get a good grasp on like, is the size guys that aren't like super good that good, or are the little guys even that usable? I don't know. I just go back and forth. It's like tough to gauge, because I was like thinking about that with the Kucherov. I'm like, would I like the Kucherov more, or would I like the Yager more? You know what I mean? I know they're way different price. Like the cost of making them is way different, but I was going back and forth that too.
I think long game, it's the same thing. So like the small guys early on in the game, they have more agility and they're higher speed than all of the big boys. And that allows you to I just saw your tweet that you put out for coffee.
I'm gonna start using funny
that's good. Anyways,
just clickbait.
Damn it, that got me. The small guys, because they have elite edges or they have a lot of agility, you can really get around the big guys. But then come to January, the big guys get 90 agility and 90 speed, and then it's over. And until EA finds a way to fix that, there's really nothing. The small guys will always get worse as the game goes along. But early on right now, I think they're fine.
Who do you like using more on defense? You have Jack Johnson, right?
No, I have Girardi.
Oh, okay. So it's still comparable.
6'1".
Who do you like using more, Girardi or Makar?
Girardi's the best card I've used. I wish I could have Makar with shutdown. There's something, I don't know. Even my chat has said it. There's something about Girardi where his speed, maybe he has a custom stride. I have no idea. There is something about Girardi's card, and I am a firm believer, because there's no custom strides or shots, there's very little difference between cards. There's just not. It's just numbers. But there's something about Girardi's card that is just, a couple people in chat are like, but Makar's card I'm able to hit with. But I think it's because of how I hit. I think it's because I use circle. So I'm charging up a hit, and every time I go to hit, when you get the timing down and you just let go of circle or B, and they do their full shove, it really doesn't matter if you're using a small defenseman or not. Now, I don't know if that'll matter as we get along and we get bigger guys.
Right.
But, we'll have to wait and see. But that thing about truculence not mattering as much is interesting.
Yeah, and when I say I don't think, I just don't know, because last year you could just your guy would like look like he's like holding on to a backpack while he's like, you know what I mean, he's going to crush somebody. You could just skate down with the hit button held down the whole game and just rock everybody all over that. This year you have to be like a little more, takes a little more skill, I would say.
Yeah, if you hold down the hit button and don't release it, they won't hit. They won't automatically hit. Like, you got to let it go.
I'm starting to lose my mind, and I don't know if they could ever fix this, but the freaking pushing in the right stick, and I'm trying my best not to.
That is tough.
Or the reverse hit thing is just, I saw Nasher put this out, and it's one of the few things I agree with, like what he said. just get rid of it. Like it
Yeah.
does. It's so.
I
All right.
haven't been reverse hit once.
Me neither. No one even uses it, and the only time I do it is when I accidentally
I
push
thought it
the
would be.
stick
I
in.
thought it would be overpowered, and maybe it's a skill gap thing, because it's really never been in the game like that. So that is like that's something. But yeah, people hate not being able to protect the puck,
Yep.
and they hate the reverse hitting. And
The line
what's
changes aren't
messing me
great
up,
either.
like because of the R3, I can't. My like go to dekes, as you know, is like the backhand toe drag,
Yep.
and usually the where you hold it on the forehand, you pull it between your legs. And you have to use the right stick and make a long motion for both of those. And I'm starting to get it, but it's real frustrating, because it's not so much that it's not getting used to it. It's that the thing that we have to get used to it because of, so actually using the thing, is useless. Like we don't use it, we don't like it. Like it's not. And I think if you can move that off of there, you're in great shape. You got
Well,
something.
and like reverse hits in real hockey happen like one out of
It's usually
three
without the
hundred.
puck too.
Yeah, it's like bare. It doesn't happen that often. There's only like a few dudes in the NHL that do it. Like I know Philip Forsberg does, Ovechkin does. I can name like different guys that I've seen do it, and most guys don't. But I can't stand that. And then the line changes are. It's like when you're
That
playing a
can't be. Yeah, that can't be. Yeah,
yeah, when you're playing a sweaty game, it's just tough. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to multitask and you're like, oh, let me move my
it's
hand. You
it's
know,
what we talked about earlier in the summer, that it's called total control, but you're in less control. Anytime that you have to take with the right stick, it's one thing. Like so, using B instead of having your thumb on the right stick to be there for whether it be a shove or a hit, or moving your skill stick around like defensively. But moving the left stick, that means you have to stop skating. So to change lines, you've got to legitimately stop skating, which is like not no bueno. Like you have to basically go MLG claw, where you've got like like your middle, your index finger and your thumb as like what you're using on the thumbstick. Like that has to like that has to go away.
yeah,
They
the
can't, they
custom
got a
button
claw grip. Yeah,
mapping.
you got a claw grip to change lines. So I don't know how they fix that, because the controller's just mapped. But that's
What
another big downfall.
On the skill stick though, if you went back to skill stick, if you pushed in your right stick, it would just leg kick, right? That was what it would do.
Yeah, it just yeah.
So basically, it's either you just suck it up and try not to push as hard with total control, or you go
That's what
back
you
to
do.
skill stick.
Like
But I think there's too many things on total control, like the hip check in the Michigan, as corny as it is to say that.
I think the
That are
other two
like,
just get rid of.
yeah, I just think it's like it's those are so influential currently in the game that I feel like as a competitive player, I'm missing out if I don't use those.
100%.
Even though I know a lot of competitive
Maybe not
players.
the Michigan, but definitely the hip check. Like defensively, the
Yeah,
total controls is a far big advantage. Yeah.
I agree, and I never thought I'd say that because I'm old school with it, and I've used
Hmm.
the thing since '08, I think it was, or '07. But it's like I said, I mean, until they fix this stuff, or if they alter it or decrease it, then I'm gonna be using total control. I mean, it is what it is.
No, 100%. And I think that like in a perfect world, if you got rid of circle, which is the toe drag shot, I don't know how many people have actually used that instead of just doing the toe drag, like with the skill stick.
Do you use the in between the leg shot at all with total control? Have you tried any of those
I
out?
do it
Just like
manually because I've been doing it for years. Like L1
okay,
and L1, and then like actually doing that shot, I did quite a bit throughout the last 5 years.
you can get some serious mustard on those
Oh
things.
yeah, you can shoot hard on those, but there's like a slight 0.2 second delay on using the
Yeah,
button ones. Then so
yeah.
I would love it if circle went back to like line changes or something. Like at least for forwards, and maybe X became like your defense. I don't know. Like I don't know what this, but yeah, you're right. Like the left D pad being where to change lines makes it brutal for that for sure. Um, the other thing, CPU penalties. They are
They're rough.
rampant, bro.
Why? Why did they do that? Did any idea behind that?
I
Like
know
why that?
that last year it was a part of their like initiative to make all of the game modes play the same.
Play
So
the same, right?
yeah, so like goaltenders last year, why they were so bad and why the wrap went in was because they made goaltenders play like human. They had human goalie animations added into the game, so that World of Chel played the exact same, as online versus and things like that. And the penalties is on the CPU is offline, is franchise mode, GM. That's their gameplay. So that happens in franchise mode. So that's why it's in there. But they are, God, they're rampant, dude. I don't know how many I've had, and I'm almost at a point where I thought that the game playing the same across the board was a great thing, but it's almost like hockey. It can't. It just can't be the
Well, just
same.
for the fact that you have computers in one mode, you could have no computers in another
Exactly.
mode.
So there's an
And you could
advantage of no
have you could have
penalties.
two computers, or you could have, I mean, with ESHL, and then or you have all computers. Like if you're doing the thing you did, your franchise mode, like that's
Yep.
it's just I don't. It sounds bad to say, and this isn't trying to like crap on them too much, but I just feel like I have the least amount of control playing the NHL game that I've had ever. Whether it's the total controls issues with the or like issues, I guess, like
The clicking in
of
R3 and stuff.
yeah, like that, or the AI is taking penalties and I'm not even doing anything wrong. Like it's just there's so many things I feel like I have no control over this year, and that frustrates me as somebody that like played the game competitively for years, where it's like I don't even like it's like hard for me to take serious almost. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, like I think that it's a good start, but there are things that need to be addressed, and I'm scared that they won't address it. Not scared. I'm pessimistic that they will, just simply because 23 was
Right.
23. Guys, for anyone that says that 23 is worse than 24, there's no way that I will ever be on board with that, dude. 23 is a historically bad NHL video game. So it's going to be a lot more. I mean, live content's doing a hell of a job trying to make it like that, but the gameplay, no shot, man. And for everyone that doesn't like it, I would hazard a bet that they haven't gotten used to total control, because once you go through 10 to 15 hours of total control and it's now like normal, like native to you, you will enjoy it way more. Like I think that the total control scheme is by far my favorite way to play the game. But I will admit that there's a massive adjustment to it. Like the hitting alone, there's a massive adjustment to it. So, but again, gameplay is always subjective. So you're never going to get everyone to agree what gameplay is the best, what gameplay is the worst. But like I said, in my opinion, I think 24 is still far better than 23, because that was just a disaster. But let's talk a little bit about the real NHL. First couple days of the NHL. The Blues haven't played. Sharks haven't played.
Right, they play tonight.
Bedard, you watch both games?
Yep.
I'm taking that over on the shot prop every game.
Yeah, it's tough to watch because I just feel like he's kind of by himself. It's like
I felt, dude, the man, could you like he goes up against Sid? Sid looked on a mission. He looked mad, like annoyed, done with it. Like when in the first game, I think Kelly Sutherland was the ref. Him doing like the welcome back for your 18th season, Sid. Welcome to the NHL.
The best intro, by the way, that the refs have done all
I thought it was a really good. Yeah, I thought it was a really good thing.
The NHL started doing those corny things, that felt authentic. The ones that are like, oh, it's gonna be a sick electric game. Here we go. Like I can't remember who said that earlier. They're like, it's gonna be an electric game here tonight.
Yeah.
It was the Vegas game. I was like, good God, stop. Like, God, just have freaking Wes McCauley do something funny.
Like,
you know what I mean?
isn't it? Yeah.
He's at least funny.
Did you see Montreal and Toronto last night?
Yes, I did. That was Poppy was on a mission.
I don't want to overstate things, but that so I've been watching all the replays of every goal and do the 5-minute recaps every single game so far to start the year. Having a blast with that. So if anyone that is around in the mornings, I usually start my stream by going over all the games from the prior night. But that was the Ryan Reeves effect. There was a scrum in the third period, and I think it started with Bertuzzi, and then like 3 Canadians went at him. And Austin, it was a save on Austin, and he was back skating towards the board. So he's like probably 10, 15 feet away. And I paused it because I hadn't seen it. I paused it, and I said, if Austin goes and gets in the pile, doesn't need to throw, doesn't need to drop the gloves and fight. But if he goes and ragdolls someone here, that is simply because Ryan Reeves is just not allowing these guys to not be like that. I unpause it, immediately runs into the crowd, rips someone off of Bertuzzi. Giordano comes flying in and does like a swan dive on the goalie, I think it was. Like it was cool. It was a way different Leaf team. And then Dude, the balls in game 1 to pull your goalie down 2 with 4 minutes to go. That's Patrick
Yeah.
Waugh shit. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I keep seeing this, and somebody in the chat said it. Wi-Fi ragdoll Reeves. The guys were literally like tumbling around, wrestling each other.
Yeah.
And then Reeves lost his footing on a net. A net. I don't care who it is, the strongest man in the world. If they didn't know that the net was behind him, they're gonna fall over the net. Like everyone, I understand. Like
I think that if you
there
were
was no punches even like really thrown. They both were like missing.
if you were to score that, I think maybe you could get some people that would edge out for Jack Eye in that. One thing, like
it wasn't even like a good.
Reeves crushed goalie behind the net, and props to anyone in the league who will immediately, like, there was no hesitation. He saw that, gloves came off. Reeves didn't even know who grabbed him. That was the thing. So once Reeves understands, he starts dude. The speed at which he throws his bombs is what makes him so terrifying. Like, because the second he realized he was in a fight, because like the first like 2.5 seconds, he doesn't even realize he's in a fight. And dude, there's a point where Jack-Eye goes for like a knee. Like, goes for like it was like jujitsu. Like, he went for the knee. And then you could tell that Jack-Eye was trying to just keep him close. And then he's stumbling a little bit and then throws him over the... So, but nonetheless, I still give Jack-Eye props because that is the scariest man in the NHL to fight. Scariest guy in the NHL to fight. And he did with no problem.
Did you stay up at all for the later games? So
watch the recaps. I didn't stay.
So what did you think of? Well, first, what did you think of like the Winnipeg signing Hellebuck and Scheifele? That was a big topic.
I thought it was, if you were playing GM mode, that was a really dumb move.
For the ages
in the contract. For the fact that no one will ever sign to play in Winnipeg. So a rebuild in Winnipeg or Calgary, or for lack of better terms, Ottawa. Like, those are not normal rebuilds. You will never get the big free agent to speed things up. You have to hit on every draft pick. So keeping them because they are a fringe NHL playoff team, I totally understand it. Like, that's just what it is.
I liked it. I thought it was a great move.
Yeah,
like, age sucks, but like
they're gonna hate it. Like, it's gonna be a terrible contract in probably 3 years, maybe 4 for both of them. But they have no choice because they just you will never replace them if you're Winnipeg. So I totally understand that.
That is the best goalie in Winnipeg Jets history, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
He's so good,
and Winnipeg took it to Calgary. The replays.
Good, besides that soft first goal.
So it's funny because you see the recap and it's like, man, Markstrom looks awful. And then like I'm going through it and I noticed in the third period, like the shot's like 38-20 or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, like he kept him in it.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the Vancouver massacre of the Oilers?
Dude,
that was crazy.
It just looked like the Oilers defense was not engaged. Too much standing around. A lot of it was screenshots. But screenshots can't be discredited. That's on the defense for not clearing the lane. And it was just, there were so many of them. Campbell didn't play great. And McDavid will bounce back. But the Oilers defense looked just brutal.
They need Ekholm back badly.
And back to the Leafs one for real quick. Dude, the Leafs defense, 1,000% responsible for 3 goals. And it's like, this is what is going to be like the issue all year and in the playoffs. Barry trips 5 seconds into a power play or whatever, and he just falls on his ass at the blue line. Breakaway goal for Evans. You know, Liljegren can't clear the puck. Just Yolinen, like their fourth line goes in and just rips a nasty backhand. Like it was rough. Like that's the problem with the Leafs, man. It was 3 goals directly because of their defense. But
and then Kings. Did you watch them play last night too?
The Kings played
Avs.
The Kings played the Avs last night?
Yeah.
Dude, I missed that recap. I actually didn't see that.
That was on TNT, so I don't know what it would have been on in Canada. But the Avalanche have Druin playing, obviously, back in the junior days with McKinnon. And
that's cool. How many times did they mention that on the broadcast?
Yeah, and I really... Yeah, they did. They did.
I figured they would, yeah.
I just hope, for Druin's sake, they light it up. Because I love watching comeback stories like that where, you know, the guy gets, like, beat down to the ground and then... You know, something like that happened. Same with like Ryan Johansson, even though they're in the Blues division. But it's kind of cool, by the way. I was going to tell you this. I don't think I didn't send you like the audio, but this is a Blues thing. But Doug Armstrong was on like with the Blues. Like they like interviewed him about the upcoming season. I've never heard a GM say this before or a president. They're like, "What do you think the Blues are gonna like? What do you think about this team? Like, you think they're gonna like they're in like a rebuild, retool, whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "We're shooting for 3rd place." They like kind of like said it like along those lines. I've never heard somebody say that. It was kind of cool. because you usually hear like this, like, oh,
Yeah,
we're
we're
gonna
gonna win
win
as
the
many
cup.
games. Yeah.
We're gonna go. We're playing for the cup. It's like, of course they are, but it was kind of interesting. He's like, yep, I think Dallas and Colorado are like a letter grade above us, and we're kind of right there because they're in a different time in their organizations. It was just interesting to hear. I never heard that before, and it's because you'll hear
Well,
other teams.
they're not catching the Avalanche. They're not catching Dallas. So like
Yeah,
it's
he
you're
pretty
not.
much admitted it, right? Yeah,
Yeah, like and Winnipeg is worse like than last year,
yeah.
and Minnesota is like they're it's wild.
Minnesota
No pun.
sports, man.
The fact that they're $12 million of dead cap, like it's not guaranteed. Like Boldy and Rossi have to be something, or that team does not
Just
go.
enjoy Kaprizov now at C camp because he's a goner in a few years, I bet.
That's like that's the Austin Matthews. It's just
Yeah.
Kaprizov is the Austin Matthews of the Minnesota Wild. All right, before we end, what are
Yep.
your predictions for the Blues, and what would make you happy as a fan?
I mean, I just think as a fringe wild card team,
Like
I'm
if they
like
don't
fine
make the
with.
playoffs, you're disappointed.
Yeah, like I think there's too much talent and veteran talent on the team. But
Hang on a second.
I,
Jonesy just said Winnipeg is absolutely not worse.
I go back and forth with that one just because
To be
I
honest,
said in our
maybe I'm putting too much stock in Dubois and Wheeler.
yeah I put in our previous show I said they'd make the playoffs Winnipeg, remember?
You
And the
did.
reason why I said it was just if they don't get traded, those two, and now they're on they're signed. I actually like love that move. I think Dubois was like
Dubois
a
trade was pretty good.
he's a passenger some nights, like the way he is, and finally, I guess maybe now he's happy because he's in LA, I guess, but because he's always been mad about where he's played, clearly. But I really like Iafallo and
Yeah, you talked me into it. You talked me into it. That's on me.
and
You're right.
Velarde
You're right.
and
I'm putting too much
Kapari.
stock. I'm putting too much
Yeah,
stock in Dubois.
I don't know. I mean, it just depends. Like I told you, it's like the messy four West teams: Blues, Minnesota, Winnipeg, and I think I said Vancouver. They're all
Vancouver
like
and Calgary is a mess. Like I think
like if
Seattle
they
will
make
make
the
it.
playoffs, they wouldn't shock me. If they don't, then they don't. Like I don't know. It's such a weird. There's such a difference between like Vegas, Dallas, Colorado,
There's a big gap.
and,
Big
and
gap at the
Edmonton
top.
and Edmonton because of the big two, obviously.
The
Yeah.
okay, so all right, so making the playoffs would be where you'd be like, as long as we make the
Yeah.
playoffs, that's fine. Okay.
I want to see for the Sharks, not and you're a Sharks fan. I want to see me being rooting for you. I want to see Zadina do good.
Yeah, like I have weird expectations. If Eklund does not get 50 points, I am extremely
Yeah.
concerned. Like if he
Okay.
is not a bona fide first liner, then that adds an extra year of the rebuild. And same with Bordelot. If Bordelot is not a second line player, at least 40 points this year, I'm super concerned. And if those two things don't happen, then it's an even longer rebuild. But if those two things happen, then that's all I really care about. Getting last place would be sweet. I still have a feeling they're gonna end up drafting Sam Dickinson as an Ice Dog fan. That's fucking awful. But I just have a feel. I wouldn't be upset because he's gonna be one of the best defensemen. But I just have a feeling that's what's gonna happen after he defected from Niagara. So we'll see. But that's pretty much it. Like that's all I'm hoping for because it's gonna be tough to watch them. Like tonight, I'm excited because I haven't seen the Sharks play hockey in 6 months. But like the shine wears off real quick, especially against Vegas. It's gonna be a 5-1 game, and that's it is what it is. But that's gonna do it for us, guys. For episode 78. Let us know what you think in the comments section down below, and we'll be back next week. All right, everyone, have a good one.